Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is the second part of our adventure, the Wandering Woods. So, the party gets to the Wandering Woods. It's a forest that is dense and unpassable, except for a trail that leads between two elven statues. Some force prevents the party from passing. Ariante recognizes the statues from a distant memory. After several attempts at trying to pass through the statues, he finally says the name of his father, who used to live near these woods. And the party is allowed to pass. But as he passes through the gate, a draconian duplicate of himself appears. So now he's two people. He's one that's an elf and one that's a draconian. And it appears that the draconian part of him cannot pass through the gates. Dragons are not allowed here, and the dragon part of himself cannot proceed forward. So he goes solely as an elf. And the group makes its way up the trail through the dark forest, seeing nothing living. They come to a trail marker which points left to the dance hall, forward to the market, and right to the park. So they decide to check out the park first. They head down the path into an open area that's empty, murky, overgrown with vines, with a large fountain in the center that bubbles with murky water. As they approach the fountain, the vines spring up, and a tentacled Atyug appears from it. A fight ensues, in which Sombria and Orisa take turns being eaten and then vomited up by the Atyug, before it's finally defeated. As the Atyug dies, its body morphs into that of a large stray dog. It also vomits up some armor, some chainmail, and a dagger. So they pick the weapons up, clean them off from all the vomit and goo that was all over them. Abaddon feels bad for the dog, so he eats it. Yeah, it's weird. And then the party heads west into the marketplace. A place in the town square which is littered with broken rubble. A snake coils. They're hiding, and they see a very large featherless chicken that's picking through the rubble. A snake coils its way up towards the chicken, planning on eating it. And as it attacks, the chicken turns its gaze upon the snake, and the snake turns to stone. The party plans out a sneak attack then on the cockatrice, and that goes very well, and they take very little damage. As the cockatrice dies, it turns into a regular chicken. They make camp here, and Abaddon eats the chicken. So, after a rest, they make their way further east to the dance hall. Although scouting around has revealed there is a castle to the north. They get to the castle, and the party decides to wait outside while Gerald scouts ahead. Inside, he finds a young stone giant crying for its lost mother. They talk to the giant, find out the mother told him not to leave the dance hall, so he just stayed there. He thinks he's a little boy. Just after she left, a curse fell over all of Thamestrials. That is the name of the city that they're in. He asks the party to find his mother. He more demands that they find his mother, and says that bad things will happen to them if they don't. And just to make sure they don't run off, he gives them a guide. The guide is a raven named Sparrow. Sparrow has flown through all of Thamestrial and regales the party with the story of how the king of Thamestrial wanted to live forever, so he made a pact with a demon for eternal life if he would sacrifice his family to him. So, on the night of the harvest festival, while the elves were all partying, the king killed his wife and daughters, letting the demon through to our world, and brought a terrible curse on the land with it. Well, the party, they decide to go to the castle. and the castle is cloaked in a magical darkness. The king, now just a black shadowy form moving in slow, jerky motions, taunts the party, and they learn from him that the portal to the demon world is in the king's manor. The king tries to attack them, but is much slower than they are, and they flee to his manor. The manor is a rotting shell of a home. The floor of the lobby is rotting and unstable, and about 30 feet across the floor is a staircase. Sombria notices that the ceiling of the lobby appears to be writhing with purple worms. Excuse me. Gerald carefully makes his way across the floor, which starts to crumble beneath his feet. Sombria casts Jump Spell and leaps to the staircase. The slight thud she makes when she lands causes a small number of worms to fall from the ceiling. Ariante dashes across the floor to break even more. He causes the floor to break more as he runs across it. And as he does, hundreds of worms start falling from the ceiling, just barely at his heels. But he does make it, and none of the worms land on him. Abaddon looks across the floor, realizes that he's really heavy. He's got a lot of armor on, but he's got to stay up with his party. So he takes a deep breath and runs in the room and crashes through the floor into the basement. All these worms fall from the ceiling on him and start eating at his exposed flesh. As he lands in a soft kind of thud, he realizes that that the floor has collapsed, and he has landed on a pile of giant vipers. Well, Ariante, up on the stairs, casts a black whip, and a thorny vine springs from his hand. Abaddon grabs it, and the party on the stairs, they all pull Abaddon up out of the viper pit. And Abaddon's laying there, and he's bleeding, and as his blood rolls onto the floor starts to heal, as if vampirically, just healing all across the floor. When Abaddon feels that he's spilled enough blood, and the floor has been healed, he calls upon his deity and heals himself. And they proceed up the stairs. And we will proceed up the stairs with him on our next adventure.